Praise the Lord. Amen. So let's pray. Father, once again, we say thank you. Thank you for your the opportunity again to learn at your feet. You said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. And so, Father, tonight we are here to learn of you. Your word says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And what a joy today we found your word. That become, and we have eaten the word and become the rejoicing of our hearts. And so what a joy today as we share together. My prayer as always is that everyone listening to me from any part of the world and those who will be listening even to the audio of this message subsequently will be blessed and your name alone shall be glorified in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Let me, as always, welcome everybody once again to the session tonight. I am always, I've always been very passionate about the subject of finance. From younger days, because I've seen people struggle when it comes to subject of finance, and I'm wondering why are people struggling? Why are some people rich and some people are poor? What exactly is the difference? And I found out over the years that the difference is, it's what you know. And that's what the Bible says, my people are to try for lack of knowledge. That's why knowledge is a catalyst for exploits in any area of human endeavors. And that's why I beg of everyone listening to this to just recognize that if you are struggling, perhaps, this is because there's a knowledge gap. And once you know what you are required to know and you apply the truth you have found, there's the guarantee is there that there will be a whole world of difference. And even if you have and you don't apply the principles, it's just a matter of time. That's why this subject is for everyone, those that think they have and those that think they don't have, because there are fundamentals that you need to be aware of that helps you to build a financial future. Hard times are not new. I mean, even in biblical days, we had in the days of Abraham, there was famine. In the days of Isaac, we are told in Genesis 24, verse 12 to 14, Isaac sowed in that land, and in the same year, that other people are crying, they're struggling. What happened? He grew, he multiplied, he became great, went forward. That means it was prosperous in the land, even in the midst of hard times. The same time in the days of Jacob, we are told that, there was a famine in the days of Jacob. He had double money. So there is people that have plenty, even in the midst of scarcity. Days of Joseph, we are told that Joseph, money failed in Egypt. That was Genesis 47, verse 15. So money failed in Egypt. That talks about failure. So what we are saying today is not new, and that's why everybody should relax. Once you know what to do with what you have a future. And somebody asked, what are hard times, for example? What does it mean to be hard times? It's just a season where things are, that economic indices are showing that high inflation. Money is hard to get by. People who they want the one you have, there are too many forces trying to pull that one from your hand. There's a lot of, constraint everywhere. Economic hardship as it were. These are hard times. But one of the things that I like to assure us, is that once you apply yourself to these fundamental truths, these fundamentals, chances are high that hardship may be all over the place, but minus you, because of what you know and what you're applying as a fundamental truth. It was in Scripture we're told about Job, one of the greatest men that ever lived, became the greatest businessman of his own days. We are told, he said, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of the Lord was upon my tabernacle. So they are fundamental, they are secrets. You and I need to, and the good thing, they are open secrets. You need to engage to become, to live above board. So whether people are, they are scrambling, they are, you and I will be flourishing, even in the midst of scarcity. And so what we'll be sharing tonight will be, like I said, this is going to be a two-part series of teachings where we'll be looking at some of the fundamental principles. There are practical principles I'm going to be sharing with us. So I'd like you to get your notes together. There's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a book I'm going to be strongly recommending for some of us to go. I'll just quickly dash into it a little bit. Some principles getting from there, but you have to read the entire book to get a full grasp. I'll just, try and give out what I call a sneak peek into that book tonight, because that book has been a blessing to my life. It has shaped my the way I look at finance and all of that. But more importantly, sharing with you some practical steps that you must take. Sharing, even in today's world, what have we done in time past and what can we do? And so without much ado, I'd like to dive quickly into it. But let me also remind you that, we share gleaning some principles from the Bible, because the Bible is the most, I would say, most reliable and most profitable book on successful living. So there are a lot of fundamental principles that I'll be, pointing into from time to time. All of these all adding together just to make sure that we have a well-rounded perspective on this subject of finance, so that we can know that, look, this is, we are building our house on a solid rock. After all, Bible says in Psalm 1 verse 2, it talks about meditate upon the word day and night, and what happens then, they shall make their way prosperous. That whatever you do, become prosperous. As a matter of principle, because the fundamentals are very, they are practical tips. If you apply it, you see the result. So let's go into the Richest Man in Babylon. I'd like to just spend a few minutes on that book a little bit, because I want to market that book, particularly for many of you who are hungry to actually go deeper and get from the same source that I'm drawing this information from. You can also go into, but I'll give you a snippet. Number one, on the principles. Now, this book talks about, it's a classic book on personal finance, and it offers what I call a timeless wisdom on managing money and rebuilding wealth. And so it discussed about some 7 fundamental principles of how you and I can just scale height in our finances. Number one, it's what it talked about. Number one principle he shared in that book. He said, start the pause, so fattening. Basically, what he's saying, look, is you must have a principle of how your money. So I'm assuming, first and foremost, let me backtrack a little bit, that you are earning something first, because the journey to financial abundance, as you call it, or prosperity, as we call it, start from earning something first. So first and foremost, you must have a job. And if you don't have a job, then we can pray about that. And then God will grant you favor, and then you start earning, because that's where it all begins from. There's nothing from that. You can't get something from nothing. It has to be something from something. So I'm assuming first and foremost that you're earning something. That's level one. Now, it then means that the first principle which is shared in that book emphasizes the importance of saving a portion of your income. That is the number one principle. They must have something. So the rule I've always recommend people is 70, 10, 10, 10. 70 is all your expenditure must go into the 70. 10, your tithe, your kingdom investment. And then 10 must go into your savings. 10% minimum of what you earn must go into savings. No matter how much you are earning, either big or small, if you can live below, with a 10% savings on your side. Someone say, oh, sir, but the one I have is not enough. No. If you can think enough, what you have is enough for the season of your life. You won't stay there forever. So I always say the 7, 10, 10, 10. That means 70, 30. The 30 into 10 different places. 70 is all your expenditure, whatever you are living on. Live on 70. Then 7, 10 on investment, 10 on savings, 10 investment. Now, that's one of the things he recommended. You must have a minimum 10% as a way of trying to save for rainy days. Because rainy day will come. There will be a day something will be required that you need to dip, and then refer to your savings. Number 2 thing is say control your expenditure. Now this is very critical. I mean, you will see when I'm sharing practical tips later, all of these things will come to play. This is where you have to adjust your lifestyle. You talk about, one of the things I always say, you must spend less than what you are earning. It's a timeless truth. Spend less than what you are earning. The book actually says spending wisely and avoiding unnecessary expenditures. More like saying, look, get a budget together and stick to that budget. What about budget? Budget is not saying, oh, you are being miserly. No, budget is telling your money how you want your money to be spent, as opposed to your money spending, and then you're now wondering, where did my money go? So when you have a budget, you are telling your money, this money coming this month, this is how the money will go, as opposed to the money being spent and you're like, oh my God, where did the money go? Which happens to many people, So it's saying control your expenditure. Don't allow your expenditure to control you. You be the one in charge. And the easiest way is to create a budget. This month, this is what I'm looking for to spend my money on. That way you are setting an agenda for your money as opposed to be the other way around. Number three thing to talk about is multiply the gold. To talk about multiplying the income or the resources in your hand. This is where investing comes in. And I beg of every one of you, there are many things. I'm sure I'll be sharing with you some practical tips in this regard in subsequent editions. But investment in general is a principle that you must learn. You can't just invest in anything that people say or refer you to. You have to study it. Anything you want to do, study that thing first before you dive into it. Don't be in a hurry, no matter how lucrative it sounds. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Number four thing is guard your treasures from loss. Now, this is where in today's world, many of us use insurance to deal with many things. We call it income protection, which is, for example, we have a house, we insure the house. So if anything happens to the house, for example, by the following month or 2 months, the house is built again. A poor man who doesn't understand this principle of how insurance works will not even think about this. He will think that, well, they are rich, the man is rich, he has built his new house again. No, the man protected the house with little money. It looks like he's throwing money away by insurance. But guess what happens? If anything happens, the insurance people have to come and replace that thing for him. But I mean, this is some of the things that the people who are smarter in finance are doing. You don't have to be rich to do those things. Small premium today can give you a whole big house. I will share some of the testimonies in that regard, and some of the things we are also doing in that regard. Number five thing, he said, make your dwelling a profitable investment. So basically what he's saying, suggesting that your home, have a home at some point, real estate investment. Basically he's saying, look, all investment that you may have, among other things, at some point in your life, as you want to build future wealth, focus on properties or, investment in the real estate, as something that you must consider because, land or properties, these are the things that last forever. Any other thing can vanish, stock inflation can eat it up, but building is always a building. So he was suggesting that you must have something, an investment in real estate of some sort. And of course, we talked about ensuring a future income. Basically, number six, what he's saying here is that the book is recommending that you must have a retirement plan. No matter what you're earning today, no matter how big you're earning today, there must be a retirement plan, which of course, there must be something that's, an investment that speaks into your future. And lastly, he's talking about number seven, increase your capacity to earn. Basically, what he's saying here is that you must study our investment, study finance. What we are doing today is about doing a deep dive into the knowledge, increasing our knowledge, our capacity to earn more in education, in new skills, new opportunities for career growth. Because the more you grow in your career, the more earnings you have. And of course, that increases your capacity to be able to have more money and more finance. And then when you apply these fundamental principles again, you keep on growing. So those are 7 secrets he shared in that book. I recommend that book. I want all of you to go back to that book, because what I've just done here is to give you a sneak peek of what it's all about, just to make you salivate and go after the book. Now, what I'll be sharing with us, which is really what I want to coming down from my heart, is two-pronged. And I said it's a 2-part series. It's some practical tips to live in times of economic hardship. What are the principles? What should you know and what should you do, for example, that will stand you out? There are 12 fundamental principles. I hope I'll be able to complete that, because I have a time limit as well. I want to share these principles. If you're unable to complete it, we'll continue next week. Now, it's 2 approach. One is the practical one, which is a day-to-day. You are in the world, I'm teaching, I'm giving you fundamental principles of how to engage on a daily basis. And of course, some kingdom principles that protects that, because everything you will see, we have a spiritual side, we have a physical side. So I'll be sharing with you the physical side. Hopefully I can finish it up, and then we'll move into the spiritual side, because that's the next levels. If you want to know some of our own fundamental secrets, we're not just relying on the physical side, we're also diving into the spiritual side to preserve the physical. And that's what I'm trusting God to open up to every one of you today. So let's, if you are set, let's go into those practical tips to live and survive and thrive in hard time. Number 1, and I want you to note this again, is make sure you are spending less than you earn. Spend less than you earn. This is a timeless principles that have survived, that have stood people out when it comes to building the foundation for financial wealth. You must spend, no matter how much you are. I said, no matter how much you are earning. Someone say, "Oh, sir, what I'm earning is too small." No. what you are earning is your size for now. If you mind, if you can think enough, what you have is enough. That's my principle. I remember many years ago when I, started work, and I discovered that all I needed to do, like the book Richard Man in Babylon suggests, you must begin to control your expenditure. So what my principle is, look, this money that I'm being paid must be enough, and I must still have a saving from it. So what do I need to do? Spend less than what you're earning. So if you're earning 30,000 naira, for example, and you're spending 20, what I mean is that you have 10 surplus. It's a rule. You must. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I'm saying if you do it, you'll be amazed at what will happen in a very short period of time. Because that is, financial, success or thriving financial standpoint is about disciplining yourself in a unique way, which I'll be sharing. Number one is spend less than what you are earning, and number two is that you must adjust your lifestyle. So hard times require you and I to discipline ourselves in some way. You don't have to some things that you think are important are not so important. Anything that does not tied to your personal development, that is not tied to things that you have to do, not want now, that you need to do this, to the difference between need and want. And I want you to go and explore what it means to have need and to have want. Want are wishes. Need are what you need. I need to do these things. These are the things that you have to be able to focus on as you begin to adjust your lifestyle, discipline your lifestyle in a way that allows you to now say, look, this lifestyle won't survive this season. I have to adjust differently. That's number two things you want to do. And that's why I'm saying these are practical tips. Adjustment could be, for example, somebody eats 3 times a day. Why do you need to do 3 times a day? For example, somebody needs to go out and go and check for things. Why do you need to transport yourself to those places? Can you make a call to those places? Adjust your lifestyle in a way that makes things a little bit, so that the resources in your hand is not just about, you are making money, but you're also controlling how the money is being spent. So that's number two. Number three, which is very important, you must only ensure your spending is on assets, not on liabilities. And I'll tell you what that means. What I mean fundamentally is assets are things that take money away from you. That brings money back to you. And liabilities are things that take money away from you. Now, this is a season, it's all tied to a lifestyle again, or discipline, where you begin to look at your spending. This is a time you look at your bank account and then print it out and look at it and say, hey, where are my money going, for example? What exactly am I spending money on? Is it things that are adding value to me, or things that are removing value from me? Am I spending money on things that will bring money back in future, or spending things that are just taking money away from me? And this is where you have to be discretionary. The Bible says you will guide his affairs with discretion. This is where you have to be discretionary about your spending. And, no apology to anyone. This is the time you reflect and settle down and say, hey, where is my money? Where's my money going? And that leads me to number 4. You create a budget. What about a budget? Budget suggests you are planning where your money is going, not your money going somewhere and then you're not trying to trace, oh my God, this month has ended. I don't know where my money has gone. No. If you go back to your bank account, you can see where your money has gone. In particular, in these days where we use online to do our transactions, for example, you can tell where it's going. If you don't like where the money is going, adjust. So you create a budget that helps you show the planning of your month. Someone said, but I don't know how to do it. Learn how to do it. And it's as simple as, where should my money be going? What are my needs and what are my wants? Focus on what is critical and discard anything that is not particularly relevant to a profitable living. Number 5, I believe, is you must recognize, I've said earlier, in hard times, one of the strategies that people have used, I mentioned earlier, is using insurance as a what I call the income protection strategy. Now, let me break down a little bit. Maybe what that means is that there are certain things. Sometimes something happens to some people, and all of a sudden, they are not affected by those things. And people are wondering, what did they do? It looks like they have savings somewhere. No. Sometimes the loss somebody suffers has been insured, for example, for a little premium. And once that thing happens, the insurance company is bound to pay those people. And people are wondering, how did they survive those things? The house got burned, and yet they were able to survive. What happened? Or they had this car accident, for example, and then the car was a write-off, and then now they have a new car. What happened? Now, these are strategies some people are using and people don't realize that, look, there's certain things that you have to be disciplined enough, block this hole, and then use that money to buy your protection in a way that if anything happens, you're fine. So that way, any calamity in town, you're not bothered because you know that you have certain principles in place that is already tied to making sure that you are restored back. Not by prayer. Now, you are using principles that are applicable in the real world to address real world situation. Number 6 here, you must avoid waste. And I must say this very, very, this is very important. Sometimes, no matter how rich you are today, if you don't block leakages, I call it leakages. A lot of people, buy things they don't even need. Wastages. In a hard time, you have to be careful on what you spend your money on. Waste is one of the, some people, it's about wasting food. Some people about wasting money on clothing, on jewelry, on all kind of things that they would do. Nobody cares about those things. All you need to appear is look decent, look clean, and appear decent anywhere you are going. That's what the world requires from you. But at the end of the day, those money invested in those things are not, they're all liabilities. They're not bringing any returns back to you. So why invest in those things? So you must block leakages. Waste is a major, 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 major factor why a lot of people are poor. So you must understand the place of ensuring that you block all leakages. And like I said, print your bank statement, for example. Look at where money is going that you don't like. No. Why is this money going here? I think I'm spending too much money on these things. Cut it down. It's your money. You have the power to be able to say, no, this is no way. Block all leakages. Very, very critical. And that's one thing that every one of us must, particularly in this season, this hard times where people are struggling, what they have is not enough. You can't afford to be a waster. Remember the story of the prodigal son? He had enough plenty. He had plenty. So, but the plenty he had, it's just a matter of time. Leakage is like water in the tank, and then it's just dropping little by little. Just a matter of time. And the Bible said he will now become in want. He became in want. He had plenty, but he became in want. Why? Because he refused to abide by the law of leakages. You have to block all leakages. And leakages means you have to reflect on your finances today and see where your money is going. If you don't like it, change gear and focus on what brings value. Number 7 is avoid debt. What about debt? Debt, somebody has asked me many times, sir, but we need money to run businesses. How do we not use? But you see, debt, the reason why debt is dangerous is that it has interest on it. So you're not just paying the money that you're owing, you're also paying additional interest. You see, there's an interest for lending that money. Now, if you don't have the discipline, this is not the time to go for debt. Yes, I agree, we need capital to run businesses, but not all businesses require money to kick off. There are businesses that you need too many approaches to start a business. And if you have to recognize that this season, it's a time to cut down. If you ever have in debt, to find a way to clear off all debt so that at least the money you have will not be money you are paying interest on to service some other interests. Because this is the time you will even need as much income that can come to you, not you paying interest to someone. So you have to make sure you adjust your lifestyle and avoid debt by every means possible. Number 8 principle, it is a time, I tell people this is for many of us, this is a time to be very diligent. Diligence, the Bible talk about a man being diligent and standing before kings. What diligence does for you, particularly if you are working somewhere, this is a time that your diligence may count and they may promote you. Your diligence may come, they may, give you a merit increase. Your diligence will count, and then your business, somebody can now trust you and say, this person is pushing, a lot of hard work in his business. Let me reward them. Let me patronize them. This is where diligence pays. This is where diligence will make a little difference. It's not a time to be lazy. The Bible talk about being lazy or being sleeping in the day of planting. It says that person will beg in time of harvest. Because a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding on the hand, it's not a time to do any of these things. It's a time to put the hand in the work and get the work done. Because the more work you do now, the hard work you are putting in today will guarantee you, a place when it comes to reward, when it comes to raises, when it comes to business opportunities. Because, business will only come to a man who's on the road, getting the work done. Promotion will only come to someone who's putting in the hard work, not the one that's complaining and say, well, the money is hard, so giving every excuse not to go to work. It's a time to be diligent. And I can guarantee you, if you are in this season, remember the story of Isaac I said earlier, In the time when people are complaining that things are hard, when he was sowing, he was putting the hard work. And guess what? Hard work always pays, any day, anytime. Number 9 here is that you must, in this season of hard time, you must have what I call by the savings in number 1 that I mentioned earlier, that is spending less than what you are earning. You have what I call an emergency fund. So let me tell you what the opportunity will be. Now, when there are hard times, is when opportunities abound. For many of you who have small savings here and there all over the places. I tell you guys this very short story. When it comes to wealth transfer, this is opportunity the season offers. Many people who have been careless, who couldn't manage their finances, this is the time to be selling things at a rate that you won't believe it. In fact, they will tell you how much do you have there. You have it. Come and take it. Come and carry those things. That's when other people are struggling. You are now acquiring things that will add value to your life, things that are strategic to your life. It could be properties. It could be whatever it is. You'll be amazed at how people will buy a land and say, oh, look, just like they told Joseph, say, look, money has failed. We want to die. Buy us. Buy us. So when we talk about wealth transfer, it's all about some of these principles I'm sharing with you today, where you have saved it, we have a reserve somewhere, and then they will now call you and say, well, we want to sell this. What do you think? Say, how much do you have? Okay, I have this. Oh yeah, give it. My friend, just go and take it. That's how this thing works. But you must live ready. You must build your resources in a way that you already have 1 or 2 savings somewhere that you can latch on in a season like this. Season of hard time, a season of opportunities for those who are discerning. And that's why I'm sharing this principle with you today, because I believe after this session, some of you will have these testimonies of wealth transfer in a way that you won't believe it. I've had this opportunity many over and over again. One of the properties that I've had, all a function of, we want to sell those things. Do you have anything in your hand that you can, can you pay this and come and take it? I'm like, oh, really? Okay, let's go. But these are things that if I had gone in regular time, they would never have sold it at those prices. So that is one thing I want you to be mindful of. And of course, number 10 here, you have to be aware. This is a time when a lot of people are promising quick, get rich quick. Be careful of get quick rich scheme. All this betting in town. There's nobody ever win those betting things. At the end of the day, it's all chaos. It's all tears that ends up those things, because wealth gotten by vanity will diminish. Even if you get anything, it will diminish, because that greed will continue to eat that person up, and all the money you think you have earned over time, boom, everything goes back to where it came from. It's all the design of, by these people to just manipulate people, manipulate their mind, get them addicted to those things. And so anything that smells, get rich quick, run. There are legitimate ways of making money. It has never been old. That's the same principle that we've always been engaging in. And these are principles that are still working. Over 1,000 years of principles of savings and investment in all those assets, they are still there today. Either investment in real estate, investment in stocks, or bond. They are, I've seen all kind of new schemes these days. They all vanish the same way they came, and those who trust in them, at the end of the day, they pierce their sin with many sorrows. So what am I saying? Beware of get rich quick scheme. Now, number 11, because I'm racing against time. I want to wrap up in the next 2-3 minutes. It's you must acquire relevant financial knowledge. I always tell people, I say, look, anything you are weak in, study that thing. You want to be healthy, study health. You want to be financially sound, study finance. Like I recommended the book on Richest Man in Babylon, for example. Now, why am I saying all of these things? You see, I can share with you some of the fundamental tips today, but you need to go deeper. And I believe some of the, the Q&A session, some of the questions you'll be asking will help me be able to dig deeper, because, the sessions are timed. I want to make sure that I'm able to share these things with all of you within the time allotted. So you must acquire relevant knowledge, acquire new skills to be able to earn you more money. That's how this thing works. Relevant knowledge helps you to build more information on what to do with the resources that are in your hand to be able to grow and survive in this season. And lastly, you have to be creative with additional stream of income. What does that mean, for example? I've had people who are working 9 to 5, or who are also real estate brokers, for example, or somebody who is also doing an insurance agent, for example, or somebody who's also offering referral. It's a marketer for other people referring their businesses, and once they refer those things, they get a commission. Now, this is a time to look for these opportunities. They're all around you. Everybody doing business wants somebody to sell for them, to refer people to them, and all you can say is, look, if I refer people to you, what happens? That means you are also creating, apart from your 9 to 5, the one you are doing, you're also creating another opportunity to earn more money. That's how to survive in hard times. There are always opportunities, but what you cannot afford to do is to complain and join them in complaining. Because when you complain, you are complicating your situation. All you need to do is to, again, like I said, look at these 10 principles, the 12 principles that I've shared with you, which are all practical tips. That, and like I said, it's the first part of the series. It could be, for example, another way to look at it is how do people sell? Helping people to sell their product is one way to generate extra income. Acquiring new skills. Some of you get certified in different skills. You are promoted at work. So, this is a time to not just hang your hand and complain. It's a time to look at things differently and say, you know what? Hard times may be hard, but there are creative people who are creative enough to apply themselves differently with the knowledge that they've acquired, and then apply themselves in a way that they position themselves for opportunities that are always prevalent in a time of hard times. These 12 principles, I believe, if I've been following, from number 1, from spending less than what you earn, to adjusting your lifestyle, through discipline, to creating a budget, to spending on assets and not on liability, identifying using insurance as it were as an income protection opportunity or strategy, for example, avoiding waste, avoiding debt, being diligent, particularly at this season of your life, creating an emergency fund that can make you allow you to take advantage of work transfer opportunities, avoiding get rich quick syndrome, or schemes all over the place, and then acquire relevant financial knowledge that will help you to boost your knowledge on how to better invest with resources in your hand today, and to create an additional stream of income through learning new skills, through referral, through different opportunities that have to do with building your knowledge and acquiring additional certifications or whatever it is to allow you get positioned in a way that they can reward you more for what you know. And I believe strongly that these are, like I said, these tips help position you differently. And I have no doubt that if any of you listen to me, apply yourself in these fundamental tips for this season that we are in today. While other people are crying and are lamenting, you will just be smiling because you always know what to do. And let me say, as I wrap up, that all of this things require a lot of patience in some areas because it won't happen overnight. But you will be positioning yourself. It's about positioning yourself to make sure what other people are going. But the Bible says what they say that they're casting down in town. You are saying it's a lifting up. And I believe all of this what I've shared today will turn to you for a testimony, and God's name shall be glorified. I pray today that as you have heard all of these things, you not just be a hearer of these things, but be a doer. So I pray for God's grace to go for right now, and impart every one of you listening to me in a way that you not only you're empowered to take these steps and apply these fundamental truths in a way that very shortly we'll return here to share the testimonies of what this new found insight. For some of you, it's a reminder. Shall be, the result will be clear, and you in turn begin to you in turn be someone who will be sharing the same principles with other people, and very shortly the knowledge shall be commonplace, and the result will be clear to all of us, and God's name shall be glorified in Jesus' precious name. Amen.